Welcome to the Giants Hangout podcast, a new podcast we've got on the Giants Podcast Network. Madelyn Burke, Jonathan Casillas, and Brandon London joining you today as we look ahead to the Giants Week 2 matchup with the Arizona Cardinals. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe. You can find the Giants Hangout wherever you get your podcasts or on the Giants mobile app. How you doing, fellas? How you feeling about Week 2?
Feeling better than week 1, that's for sure.
You took the words right out of my mouth, man. It's like it's one of those things where I'm just like, last week I was all pumped up. You saw the energy flowing. Now I'm like, all right, let me just wait till kickoff. Like,
yeah, right.
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
Right, a lot more reserved. The anticipation is lower. Just gonna,
chill a little bit.
Because I was definitely here, and then I went down fast, and I stayed there the entire game.
I think most of us did that. I think most of us did that, right? But you know what? I just want to give a special hat tip to Michael Eisen, who has been covering this team, writing about this team for years. And he pointed out that in 1989, the Pittsburgh Steelers lost at home in their first game of the season to Cleveland by a score of 51-0. They ended up finishing 9-7, won an AFC wildcard game. Also, 2 years later in 1991, the Detroit Lions began their season with a 45-0 loss to Washington. Season ended for the Lions in the NFC Championship game where they did lose again in Washington, but still. So positive things could come. It's not over. It's week 1, and we are looking ahead to week 2, fellas. So big question as we start this one too. Brandon, I'm gonna start with you on this one. As the offensive player on the panel, the wide receiver out here, how does this offense bounce back from that?
You bounce back by shoring up that offensive line. And I think it's one of those things where, look, what we saw, that opening drive was an anomaly. You saw a false start penalty, a bad snap, which led to disaster. You're not going to see that again this game. And JC, I think this is the best part of being athletes is we could go through the adversity of getting beat 40-50-0 and then be ready on that Tuesday, Wednesday when it's time to get ready for week 2. So we can laugh, we can see the memes. But now it's back to business. So we're looking at it and talking to Darius Slayton, talking to a lot of those guys in the locker room yesterday, their minds are on Arizona. And without giving me too much of the T and the X's and O's, it's just basically one of those things where it's be ready. You have to be ready within this offense. Mike Kafka and crew, they're going to get that offensive line shored up to where Daniel Jones can get the ball to his weapons. So after that, hey, if I'm a Paris Campbell, if I'm a Darren Waller, when I catch that ball, I'm going to do what they brought me in here to do. And that's what the mindset has to be or is for this team going forward, heading into Arizona on Sunday.
Yeah, you can't blame it on the rain anymore after, no more Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
Week 2 is a new look. It's a new, I agree.
And it's only one game, right? Whether they won or lost, it's one game. And we all got that short-term memory, good or bad, So luckily that's a real thing in the NFL. You know it. You have to think like that. So this game is in the past. But what you said about the offensive line, they got to shore up the offensive line. Are you talking about moving pieces around, or are you just talking about they just got to play better?
No, it's a thing of they have to play better and, in terms of protection schemes and all in that matter. But, I imagine we're going to talk about that in depth in a little bit. But I see Mike Kafka and those guys realizing, hey, if Andrew Thomas can't go, then we're going to do X. If this guy can't go, then we're going to do Y. Football is a constant chess game with live players. So, I don't want to go too deep into it now to mess up a segment or anything.
No. Talk about it in depth in a little bit. Right now is a little bit. Let's talk about it in depth. That's what we're here for.
I'm trying to figure out too, because if Andrew Thomas doesn't play,
right?
They put in Azudu last week, and Azudu's more of a guard, or at least he's been practicing that guard. And Dayball did say that Azudu has gotten work at tackle. I mean,
He's gotten he had limited work at tackle at Carolina, but he was primarily a guard. You're right. And he, in training camp, a lot of the time was rotating through that right guard spot. Last year, I believe he was getting some practice reps at tackle as well. They've tried him there before. This wasn't like the first time they've thrown him in that position. He has seen reps at tackle before, but he was primarily rotating at that guard spot with Bredesen, with Glowinski.
Is he the guy, if Thomas doesn't go, is he the guy that replaces him at left tackle?
Well, you also have Matt Pert, who's your swing tackle.
Right.
Again, it could be something to where, hey, this guy could get a couple of possessions. The next guy can come in. JC, you know, we all fighting for extra playing time, contracts, the bag. So you can look at it like, oh man, Andrew Thomas could possibly be down. But if I'm a Matt Pert, I'm looking at it, hey, this is my time again to step up and to make plays. Now, if I'm Daniel Jones, you know, on offense, we always say KYP, know your personnel. So that means if you're throwing to a taller, slower guy like Brendan London, don't throw it out there to have him run under it. Throw it up there like Plax. I could go make a Plax play, but it's the same thing within your offensive line. Now you're getting with Mike Kafka, you're breaking down what the offense could be. Now you might have to roll out a little away from where you think anticipated pressure is going to be. Now you might have to go quick game. You want to play into the line of what you have. You want to play into their strengths and also have the understanding to where, you know, this may help me get the ball into a Paris Campbell's hands, Sterling Shepard, Jalen Hyatt's hands. And then as a receiver core, you're in that room. You don't know how many balls you're going to get, but you know when that one comes, you better make that play because it could be the play of the game.
I still can't get over how we're making direct comparisons to Brandon London right here on this show. I'm pulling an RG3, like me, like myself, as a quarterback that is available on the street. like a wide receiver, like myself, Brandon London out here. But it's true. That is so true.
I am an I and we guy. I'm an I and we guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking and, you know, I think they went against the best defense in the league on Sunday. I think that was evident. Adding Gilmore, Fowler, and like Van Der Esch, like there's so many ball players. Their defensive line is incredible. Odigizua had a great game. You know, the Giants, they need, this is what I saw, B2. I was the most disappointed I was from last week, which is what I want to see this week, especially on offense, is who's going to fight, right? Daniel Jones got hit when he threw the interception. I watched Michael Parsons run this guy down. One of the most athletic plays I've seen from a pass rusher, the way he exploded and chased Daniel Jones down towards the sideline. And it was borderline, B. It didn't look like it was all the way in. It didn't look like it was all the way out. It was right at the fringe. But to offensive linemen, it should have been that he was out, and you should have jumped Micah Parsons out of bounds. You should have beat his ass on the sideline. There wasn't even nobody around.
We say that on this show.
This is not live, right? We can edit that out.
Sorry,
Are we kid friendly?
But there was no one around him. Nobody came to his, you know, defense. And it's like, okay, so we're not protecting our quarterback now? What are we doing here?
Right.
You know, like who's out of the old lineman, who's going to fight and protect your quarterback? Because he's getting demolished.
Right.
You know, and then I'm talking about between the whistles. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing as the Dallas Cowboys, getting the guy on the ground. But that was borderline. You know how it is. Even if it's clean, offensive lineman is coming and they're checking and linebackers, defensive linemen. Bro, they wanted no parts.
Well, they also
didn't like that.
They were trying everything, right? They had different linemen on them. They had Daniel Bellinger blocking DeMarcus Lawrence, which DeMarcus Lawrence tossed him aside like a chew toy right there. It was just runs right through him. And so there were it is a very tough opponent to go against in week one. I agree. But like you said, you got to stand by your quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, Daniel Jones, this is a guy who you talk to these guys in the locker room and to a man, they'll be like, that's my quarterback, right? They'll be putting on the sunglasses and crying over, that's my quarterback.
Yeah.
And they do, but the actions of the way that this team protected him on Sunday didn't show that.
Yeah.
And Arizona, you know, going out to Arizona, this is where Daniel Jones every summer takes this offense every year to kind of work on not just, you know, getting some chemistry and team building, but also just like that camaraderie and building that. And so this is the place that they go out there, spend significant time together, working together in the off season. They're going to be out there not only for the game, but for an extra 5 days afterwards in between this week 2 and the week 3 Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And kind of building that chemistry too. This is where the seeds were planted in this offense this summer. This is where a lot of these guys got working together this summer. And this is like, hey, let's go back to where it all started, where we've been working this summer, and make sure we turn this thing around and get this win on Sunday. And it starts, you know, just in protecting the quarterback, and especially in the play with the young guys.
It starts in here, though.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it starts in here. Like, there was a time during the game last week, B, Matter of fact, I watch a TV copy, and I've never watched a TV copy.
Mhm.
I usually watch it from the thing, and then I watch all 22. But I wanted to watch a TV copy. I wanted to get the different angles, and there was a time where they showed Fowler and Michael Parsons on the sideline, and they were like this, and I was like, ooh, bro, I'm getting goosebumps, bro. You know how it is, bro. When you see that in their eyes, bro, they looking like they're about to eat. Like, go hunt. They ready to hunt. The Giants need to learn from them and go ahead, and you got to have that type of attitude when you're going out there, bro.
Right.
The trenches, the offensive line, bro, the Cardinals had 6 sacks last week against the Commanders. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is their strong point, and this is against the Giants week. Who's going to be the guys that show up with the heart, bro? Because I didn't see none of it. I don't care if they got beat 40-0. Stuff happens, the block punt and all. Block kick, the interception, stuff happens. But where is the fight? Right. And that's what I want to see. And that's what you start. Before you improve, you got to fight first.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not just something that they're just going to automatically develop overnight on the plane ride there. If you ain't got it by now, then you ain't got it. And I would imagine that all these dudes who've been through, the work that every single player on that roster, from the best player down to the last man on the practice squad, the work that person's had to put in to get there. So with Madelyn saying, like, Arizona is the place where the seeds were planted, it's the perfect place to go back out and to fix everything. We're doing seeds and I'm no botanist and all that,
botanist.
Like plants, botanist. Thank you. I got that wrong on SATs. That's why I went to UMass. So it's now this is where you prune it. This is where you prune it. Now you go back and and this is the place. It's set up. It's storyline material right here to go back out there, play against a Cowboys JV defense. Because like you said, Cardinals put up 6 on their own, but they ain't Michael Parsons and D. Lawrence and those guys. Yeah. Stephon Gilmore is in Trayvon Diggs isn't going to be out there. So this is where you fix it, or at least you take the step to fix it. And when it comes to that dog and having that heart, you don't want to see anybody get a 15-yard penalty, but you do want to see that.
I do, actually. I would take a 15-yard penalty if it comes with a little bit of dog and bite. Yes.
Wink Casillas. We can't play like that, man.
I'm just saying.
You can't give up the 15-yard penalty, man.
I want them to be on the edge.
Day. Sunday is not laundry day.
No, I don't want them, but like, just if it's in the midst of them fighting, I'm okay with it. Nothing dirty, though. I don't want nothing dirty.
It's like the equivalent of, like, in an NBA game when your coach gets a technical, that this guy's got your back. Or
yeah,
I get
that's
that.
it. That's it. Nothing stupid. Nothing stupid.
But I think that's the thing. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. You need to have a clean game. And one of the things that we saw, as much as we have seen the consistency in the exchange from the center of the quarterback in the preseason and in training camp, there were some handoffs and some the center quarterback exchange that was a little bit messy, and maybe it was the rain, maybe it was the nerves of a rookie center on Sunday night football, playing his first game. There are a lot of elements that could play into that too, but you talk about that drive, that opening drive, you get that false start on Andrew Thomas, and then you get the muff snap, and then all of a sudden you're back another 20 yards.
It's 40-0 right after that. 40-0.
And then cut to the end of the game. But that's the other thing too we're going to have an eye on in week 2 is the play of these rookies, right? Not just on the offensive line in JMS, and not just, the rookie corners who Wink Martindale was talking about this today, saying, the thing I liked about both Tay Banks and Trey Hawkins is that, they're aggressive. They like to tackle. They play physical. He said that there were a lot of positives that he saw from these rookie corners. Jalen Hyatt, he had a couple of moments that I think he's going to watch and want to have back. So in that opening game on Sunday Night Football, your very first NFL game coming on Sunday Night Football, week 2, how do these rookies adjust? That's another thing we're going to be watching.
Yeah, how to respond. I watched. I watched it over, and the thing is, I expect the rookies to all make mistakes. Mm-hmm. I expect the corners to get baptized by these very talented receivers throughout the NFL, especially in the NFC East. Mm-hmm. Dallas got a couple of them, 3 of them. All the teams got in the NFC East. I expect them to have struggles. I expect John Michael Schmitz to let the ball hit the ground. He's a rookie. It happens, bro. You're playing against the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
But what I don't expect is the other guys to not play well, right? Mm-hmm. Like a Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence should never be blocked one-on-one. right? I expect these rookies to get baptized and make mistakes. And the touchdown last week when Pollard scored, it was like the little toss. Okereke kind of overran it. But you know who was unblocked? Both of the rookies, both of them. The thing is, they just don't understand the speed of the game quite yet. Mm-hmm. This is expected, B, but they're already exposed to, okay, this is how it got to be done. Like one of the motion guys that came over, that was Hawkins' guy.
Right.
And he just ran away. You know, you're not a receiver. You just run away. You're not blocking nobody. You're just running away to the sideline. If he would have just glanced inside, he would have saw the toss action. You know what I mean? And he would have went downhill. And then also Banks was backside. Right. His man was there. All I'm saying is I expect them to make mistakes like that. I expect them to be a little bit slow. But it's good that they got baptized. They learned run fits, not just run fits, but also passing plays and how fast and the situational analysis, right? Yep. They're getting that right away. Like they're getting like this. You can't just play regular football down in the red zone. You can't just play regular football on 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 5. Like there are different speeds of the game. Even though the game is a lot faster, it gets so much faster on 3rd and 5. It gets so much faster on the goal line. And now they're getting fully exposed to that. And I expect them to make improvements.
Yeah.
Yeah. You only get better through reps. And like you said, that whole baptization that happened is only going.
Go ahead,
Tell him.
I'm in my Sunday suit anyway, you know, my Michael Strahan church suit. But you know, it's only going to help them. JC, you know, you talking about, let's stick to the corners, the rookie corners. Them two dudes got confidence.
Yes,
like
sir.
Tay Banks was chirping to Brandon Cooks all game, and he was all over the place. He had the holding penalty. You can clean that up. You can get better. Trey Hawkins had the PI. You know, it was bang bang.
As a defender, I thought it was clean.
Right.
He also dumped Brandon Cooks on that 4th down catch. You see, it's on his Instagram. So those two rookies are playing with confidence. So you throw in a big homie like yourself, pull them to the side, let them know about the speed. You know, Adoree Jackson's done a great job, but Adoree Jackson can't teach them game speed until they go through a game. You can't until you can sit back and watch it. Like those two dudes, they got baptized through the fire. They're going to be great. I look at it, Jalen Hyatt. I think he needed more balls thrown to him. I think he needed more full speed, play action, deep ball reps because that's his skill set. That's what he brings to the offense. So we need to see a ball get in his hands early because he missed out on that opportunity last game of getting baptized and getting acclimated to the game speed as he's supposed to.
Yeah, and he did have that one ball thrown to him that was a bit of a drop, and it was one of those moments, a little behind, but it was also one of those moments too. It's a big moment for a rookie, and you saw that happen in the preseason where he had a ball hit him, and then Tyrod Taylor, the very next play, is like, no, let's run this back, let's get right back on the horse. And what does he do? He creates separation and gets a touchdown. So I think the more opportunities he has to show, okay, this is who I am, and to kind of reevaluate that, he's going to grow into that role, right? The young guys there's a lot of ball game left, and they're going to be like a goldfish. And one of the things that, Wink Martindale pointed out today is what Dable said after the game on Sunday. You can't let the same loss beat you twice.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So you're taking that loss on Sunday, looking ahead. You're not going to let that game and those mistakes beat you in this one, and cleaning it up. And a lot of it is just these little things, these little moments that add up into a big moment. And looking ahead into this game, one of the other things too that we're going to point out too is this familiarity. And before we get to that too, want to update everyone listening to Andrew Thomas is out there practicing on a limited basis today. So I know a lot of people are worried and a little worried.
Hercules.
So AT, that left side, the blind side, he's at least giving it a go right now in practice, and we'll see how that pans out as the week unfolds. The Arizona Cardinals have a new head coach this year in Jonathan Gannon. Giants organization, quite familiar. Of course, he comes as the former Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator. Mike Kafka, in talking to the media today, was pointing out just one of the things that he's noticing in the way that Gannon is using these safeties in Arizona, and Budda Baker, in Jalen Thompson. And it's so similar to what we saw in the way that they use the safeties in Philly. the speed and on the perimeter, especially. How do you think that matchup is going to go? I mean, we've talked about how that in the trenches and how, I mean, JC, you've pointed this out too, about how last week Arizona could send them and they, sacked the quarterback 6 times against Washington, but that's just there. What about, in that receiver matchup, Brandon, what are you looking at when you see that schematic familiarity, but also just that style of play in a team like Arizona?
Well, Jonathan Gannon's over, and he also brought former Eagles linebacker coach Nick Rawlins, and he's now the defense coordinator. They brought, a couple of their guys over from that scheme from Philly to step in and play right away. So there's a lot of guys that are already comfortable within that defensive scheme. When you're looking at it as from the pass game aspect of it, they sit in a lot of too high cover 4 type looks, and you're looking at it like, ooh, we got a chance to make plays.
Yeah.
If that offensive line can shore up, and we're talking cover 4 where those safeties are flying in that alley, you thinking of route concepts like a pin concept where the inside slot runs the end, and there's that deep post from a Darius Slayton or a Jalen Hyatt. If it can get blocked, then Mike, my receiver coach, my receiver coach, my 2000.
Mike Groh.
No, not Mike Crow. Man, it just messed up my point. I'll get the name, but
I'm just
when
naming
we
people
used
now.
to have us draw
just
up
coaches.
Mike Kozlowski.
Coach Mike, he coached, but 2000. So he came back as the quarterbacks coach as well. Somebody asked somebody.
You better ask somebody.
Man, he worked me out at my pro day too. I feel. Mike Sullivan.
I know Sully. Yeah, I know Sully.
Look, Claude, that's my name.
I didn't know that was his first name. When you was like Mike something, I was like, Mike, I don't know. As soon as you said Mike Sullivan, I was like, oh, Sully.
Sully.
Yeah.
So sorry for that.
Go ahead.
We used to write up, when we drew up a safety on the board, you put the $sign there. Now, that cover 4, you're able to get deep up on these safeties. You get those speed guys. That should be money balls right there. You have to have it protected. So as a receiver, you feel good about the game plan. A lot of free access throws, hinge routes, stop routes, curl route, that sort of thing. You got some yak guys in a Paris Campbell, Sterling Shepard. So as a receiver, you feel great about this game. But then there's that but in the back of your mind. Are you going to take that route to 10 instead of 12 because you feel as though that offensive line is not going to hold up and let Daniel get to that fifth step with the hitch? So that's the only thing that can play in these guys' mind, but they know and feel as though they're going to make plays this Sunday.
Are you worried if you're going into this game, like you said, playing in these guys' mind, Brandon, like coming off of Sunday, and I know we're trying to leave that in the past, but also part of that is that trust element, right? Like when you're going into something, you want to trust that, you're going to do your job, your teammates are going to do their job, and not saying that nobody did their job, but you want to trust that things are going to work out as planned, as designed, as drawn. How do they reinforce that trust going into week 2?
Well, Coach Coughlin used to always say no and no, so they're going to have the confidence within the scheme, within their route concepts. But like you said, it can play with you a little bit. If you're a receiver, you get up on a safety, you stick, you look back, Daniel Jones is scrambling, and you're thinking in your head, did I do something wrong on my route? I was the main guy on this route. I didn't get the ball. So then you go back, and then let's say you get a free access hinge route. It's a stop route at 12 yards. You don't get the ball thrown to you. It could have been a sack or he had to throw it away. It starts playing in your head. Now you're trying to make a play instead of letting a play come to you. So that's the only thing that comes to the receiver. Your job is predicated on the success of lineman blocking, running backs picking up, quarterback making that throw. So it's something that can get into your head later on in the game if you're not touching the ball on plays you're supposed to touch the ball.
Yeah, and I think it starts in practice, like what's the attitude in practice? Are you guys on point? You coming early, like you showing that, okay, I understand what happened week 1. Yes, we do put in our pass, but we let it catapult us forward and not pull us back and let us get beat by the Cowboys twice. So it starts at practice. I know Dayball focuses a lot on practice. He always speaks about, the performance at practice. Let's see how it goes at practice. So I definitely think he's paying attention, in what's going on. But when I look at this team with the Arizona Cardinals, I look at the defense and I see a whole bunch of guys flying around, but I also see a lot of undisciplined guys, right? They hit Howell hard. They hit another guy hard, and they got late penalties, and they had 67 yards of penalties in the first defensive drive that they had last week against the Commanders. So what I would think that the Giants could the Giants have opportunities to, counteract their aggressiveness on defense, because I like the way Budda Baker plays football. You'll take him any day of the week, right, B? That's the guy you'll take any day of the week.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got guys, along that defensive front and also the linebackers as well, that looks like they just feed off of that. And they're just flying around trying to be like a Budda Baker. Like when you got a guy like that, you just like, how could I be more like this guy? You know what I mean? And you play like that. And I think that's what you're seeing from the Cardinals defense, but they're a little bit crazy. They're a little bit wild. They're hitting late, so I think the Giants need to go ahead and play, like you said, good football, like let's not be getting all the penalties, because that's what the Arizona Cardinals do. Like the Giants, I think, have an opportunity there to expose them a little bit, and Gannon, he understands the reason why the Eagles beat the Giants 3 times last year because of the rushing game.
Right.
So I expect Connor to get heavy doses of that run game, and I also expect him to try to do some play action passing off of the run game.
Yeah.
It's funny how he said, play clean football. Don't get any penalties earlier. Hit somebody. I want to see some dog in somebody.
I'll take one early. I'll take one early.
Moment, but
I'll take one early.
Yeah, I mean, Connor, last week, James Conner led the Cardinals 14 carries, 62 rushing yards. He also had 5 receptions, second on the team to Zach Ertz. So clearly Connor's going to be the workhorse for that squad. But you're right. Yeah, you gotta play a clean game. As much as Casillas wants to see them just mess it up.
I mean, like for example, like if Daniel Jones gets hit and it's very like, I expect a lineman to go ahead and decleat that guy and get a penalty. You know what I'm saying? Like, not go over there and be like, hey, man, lay off my quarterback. Like, what?
But you could also,
you know what I'm saying?
You could also have those moments without getting a penalty.
Right. I'm saying, I just want to see the fight. Whether it's penalty or not, Madelyn, that's all I want.
Like in that preseason game, we saw Hottie and Aaron Rodgers chirping it back and forth, right? And that's not a penalty, but that's a moment to say, hey, listen, this is not okay.
But that's just this. That's just that. I'm talking about like physically showing that you're there to fight for your quarterback, and I understand. But if you can avoid the penalty, we can avoid the penalty. I get that.
Showing that you're defending your quarterback is going to cost you 15 yards and could end up costing you the first down and could end up costing you the game. Then you're cutting off your nose to spite your face a little bit.
I hear you, but at the same time, it has an impact. It shows a little bit more than just 15 yards.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I understand you, and I don't want to get penalties. I want to play a clean game, but I would rather. I would rather than they played a clean game, but Daniel Jones got hit late 4 times. I would rather them shut that down, so the quarterback's not taking late hits. Establish like, we got my quarterback's back. Right. We will fight for you.
Yeah.
Then a clean game, Daniel Jones get hit late 4 times. Then you get hit late 1 time, and then all of a sudden we got a penalty, and nobody's hitting them late again. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of fight that I'm talking about. And maybe if it takes a penalty, maybe like the borderline. If it's borderline, we could have been clean.
We appreciate the clarification, big homie. We appreciate the clarification.
I appreciate Brandon calling him out on that one though too.
No, I appreciate it too.
I'm listening.
Because that's the game that you gotta play. Like live on the edge, play on the edge, but don't hurt the team. But every now and again, when you live on the edge, you might hurt the team. You might just hurt teams. You
might.
It is what it is.
Brandon's over there like, I can't with y'all.
I'm just taking it all in. UFC 53 is going to be at the Garden. Let's get them tickets. See, that's what you want to see.
As long as I'm a featured event, we're good.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. I mean, this will be a good one. It's going to be week 2, Giants Cardinals. And we're looking forward to it. Absolutely. Every week, this squad's going to be here looking ahead to these games too. Looking forward to it. Be London. I know you got to get back to your day. Casillas. I'm Madelyn. I don't know. That's a wrap for us. Giants Hangouts. Madelyn Burke, Jonathan Casillas, Brandon London. Find us where you get your podcast. Find us on the Giants mobile app. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think. Follow us on social media. All the good stuff. Giants Cardinals Sunday 4:05 kickoff. You don't want to miss it.